No exaggeration, at least 10 people have emailed me. They want to know what is the Islamic ruling about lowering the pants beneath the ankles, and this is a topic that needs to be discussed. There's no problem. So inshallah, I thought I would do it today. So let us go back to the hadith. Our Prophet ﷺ said, "Man jarra thawbahu khuyala lam yanzur Allahu ilayhi yawm al-qiyamah." Whoever lowers his thawb out of pride, Allah will not look at him on Judgment Day. Whoever lowers his thawb beneath the ankle, this is isbal in Arabic it's called, Allah will not look at him on Judgment Day. And our Prophet ﷺ also said that Allah Azza wa Jal, that whatever is beneath the ankles is in the fire. مَا أَسْفَلَ مِنَ الْكَعْبَيْنِ فَفِي النَّارِ. Whatever is beneath the ankles is in the fire. Now these ahadith and more are found in pretty much all of the books of hadith. Bukhari, Muslim, you mentioned it, it's found in there. So there is no difference of opinion amongst the ummah, no ikhtilaf, that whoever lowers the garments out of pride, man jarra thawbahu khuyala, there is an adjective, khuyala, makhila, which is out of boastfulness and arrogance. There is unanimous consensus amongst all the scholars of Islam. Whoever lowers that garment out of pride, it is a major sin. Imam al-Dhahabi, in his famous book, The Major Sin, he lists one of those numbers, 37 or something, to lower the garment out of pride. Pause here, footnote. What is pride and garments, and what is zakatu is showing off? It's very simple. My dear brothers and sisters, go back 1,440 years. Go back 1,440 years. Cloth was scarce. The environment, dirty and dusty. Across the globe, by and large, across the globe, not just in Arabia. In Rome, what did they wear? They wore a garment. Where did it go down to? In China, what did they wear? They wore a long robe. Where did it go down to? Generally speaking, at that time and place, out of common sense, out of utility, the garments would go beneath the knees to lower than the knees to above the ankle. Why? Because the road's dirty. It's going to get filthy. Cloth is scarce. You don't want to get it dirty. Why would you get it dirty? You're going to step in puddles, etc., etc. Now, in every society, people invent ways to show off their wealth. In our times, flashy cars is an example. Okay, you get that. What is the name of the flashy car? I was going to say Bugatti, but he's going down there. Okay. Not that anybody who gets a Bugatti is haram or whatnot, Ferrari, but I'm saying suppose somebody got a Lamborghini driving through a parking lot. What is his goal? What's he want to do? Show off. I mean, this is arrogance. Now, how did they have the Ferraris and the Bugattis? What did they do? Believe it or not, one of the things they did was, I have so much wealth, I can flaunt it. I can show you how rich I am. I can wear my garment, I have plenty at home. My garment is going to go beneath and is going to trail on the floor behind me. And they would do that. It's going to trail behind me because I can go home and wear something else. Most of the Sahaba had one pair of clothes, at max 2 or 3. Our Prophet had 2 main pairs of those. One he wore for special occasion, whatnot. May Allah forgive us for having 30, 40, 50. May Allah forgive us. But the point is that simplicity. Now, how did you show off? How did you show people, I am filthy rich? You told them, I have this garment and they could go underneath. So, having a thawb or an izar, a lower garment, that went to the floor, that went below the ankle, it is an essential characteristic to show your wealth. There is no utility, no function, nobody does it. You are standing out of place and you're making the point, I am filthy rich. What are you going to do about it? So the Sharia came with simplicity, with modesty. Get rid of this feeling. And so there's unanimous consensus. Whoever does it out of arrogance. Now, within a century, the money began to pour into the ummah. Within a century. The Sahaba, later Sahaba, lived much more comfortable lives. That's why Aisha radiallahu anha, she died 57 Hijrah, she would cry when food was presented in front of her. She would say, we never saw this food at the time of the Prophet. This is only 4 decades later. And she's now seeing a level of luxury that they didn't see before. Okay? Some of the later Tabi'un and whatnot, Abu Hanifa and whatnot, they're now living the life. In Iraq, the Persian Empire has given them a lifestyle and the clothing and the garment. Money is no longer scarce. So what happened? The notion of having the pants below the ankle became antiquated. And people now had plenty to wear. And so people began to wear below the ankles. So from the earliest of time, many of the scholars said, these ahadith apply when a society has it such that lowering the garments is a sign of arrogance. To be technical, so one hadith mentions the term out of pride. Another hadith doesn't mention the term out of pride. It simply said, whoever lowers the garment, that portion will be in Jahannam. Do we take the out of pride in one hadith and we understand the other hadith in light of it? The Arabic term is يُحْمَلُ الْمُطْلَقَ عَلَى الْمُقَيَّد. That which is conditional, do you understand it? That which is unconditional, you understand it in light of the conditional. You have a hadith that is unconditional, whoever lowers the garment. You have a hadith that is conditional, whoever lowers the garment out of pride. Do we understand the unconditional in light of the conditional? The vast majority of fuqaha and scholars of usul said, yes, of course. When a condition comes, another hadith doesn't mention the condition, then obviously that condition should be cut and pasted to the same prohibition. And therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, there is not unanimous consensus, but overwhelmingly throughout Islamic history, our scholars have said this prohibition does not apply to the one who does it out of culture, out of habit, out of if his society is doing it and there's no pride there. And they mention another hadith also found in Bukhari, which is even more explicit. And that is when the Abu Bakr heard this. He said, Ya Rasulullah, sometimes I tie my garment, but without my knowing it loosens. The Prophet didn't say, it's okay if it loosens. He said, listen to this, you are not of those who do it out of pride. Now, if he had said, okay, it's no problem, you did it accidentally, that would have been a different interpretation. But he didn't. He said what? You are not of those who do it out of pride. So, in a society like ours, where the concept of having a pant above the ankles and pride has nothing to do with one another, and in fact this is now the global culture, then these ahadith therefore do not apply in these cultures. Now if there was a culture where it applies, these ahadith apply. And that is why there are so many narrations from the time of the Sahaba and the Salaf and the righteous ancestors that demonstrate this. For example, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh, he had shins, the shins that, you know what the shins are, shins that are very thin and curved. And kids would make fun of him. In fact, this is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari about Ibn Mas'ud, that one day he climbed a tree to get some fruit, and the other Sahaba, some of them, they laughed at the shins of Ibn Mas'ud. They were very thin and curvy. It's a deformation. The Prophet ﷺ said, you are laughing at the shins of Ibn Mas'ud. Wallahi, they are heavier in the scales of Allah than the mountain of Uhud. This hadith is in Bukhari. So the shins of Ibn Mas'ud were little bit, you can say as a child he had, whatever you want to call it, curvature, whatnot, a bit embarrassing. So once in Kufa, now money has come in, now situation different. His students saw Ibn Mas'ud with a garment all the way to the ankle. They said to him, aren't you the one who narrated to us that the garment shouldn't be below the ankle? So Ibn Mas'ud said, I am a man who has this deformity. I'm a man that has these, he used the Arabic term, crookedness in the shins, it's a specific term. I'm a man that has thin shins. Now, tell me, if somebody laughs at you, is that a reason that you can drink sharab, yes or no? If somebody is going to make fun of you if you don't drink sharab, can you drink sharab? No, because sharab is what? Haram. If lowering the garments had been haram, or as our teenagers say, haram, haram, is it haram, haram, they ask me? New term they invented. If lowering the ankle, the garment had been haram, would Ibn Mas'ud say, oh, people laugh at my shins, that's why? Yes or no? Do you see what I'm saying here? That's not the case, right? So he allowed it. As well, Abu Hanifa, Imam al-A'zam, the Imam of fiqh, Abu Hanifa al-Shafi'i said, all of mankind is dependent on Abu Hanifa in fiqh. This is Imam al-Shafi'i said this. الناس عيال في الفقه على أبي حنيفة. Abu Hanifa, mashallah, Allah blessed Abu Hanifa with wealth. You know, many of our scholars were not that wealthy, but some of them. Abu Hanifa, Bukhari, Imam al-Nisa'i, mashallah, was like a millionaire, Imam al-Nisa'i. So Allah blessed some people, mashallah, with wealth, but the majority of our scholars were not wealthy. Imam Abu Hanifa was upper middle class. He would wear fine Persian garments. He was Persian, living in Iraq and whatnot. He would wear that, and his garments typically would go beneath the ankle. One of his students said, isn't this prohibited? And Abu Hanifa said, it is prohibited for the one who does so out of arrogance. This is Abu Hanifa. And he himself had it low. Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani, one of the great tabi'un, he died 136 Hijrah. Early scholar. This is a beautiful quote. And he died 100 years after the Sahaba. 130, 140 Hijrah, very early on. Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani had a garment made, and he told his tailor, make the sleeves up until my wrists and make the garment length up until my ankles. One of his students said, aren't we forbidden from this? Listen to what he answered. Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani said, once upon a time, it was considered showing off to lower the garments below the ankles. But in our time, it is showing off to raise the garments above the ankles. Meaning, I'm sending the message, I am more pious than you. I'm sending the message that, now this is his opinion, don't quote me on this, I'm just quoting you what he said, right? I'm not, astaghfirullah, impugning anybody who thinks they're following the sunnah by doing that. I believe you're sincere. But Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani is talking about 100 years after the death of the Prophet, and he's saying what? Once upon a time, lowering the ankles was a sign of showing off. In my generation, to raise it higher and higher, when everybody has it low, that is the one that is being different from the crowd. So he had the exact opposite mentality. The point being, in a nutshell, the four madhahib, the Hanafi madhab, the Shafi'i madhab, the Hanbali madhab, and the Maliki madhab. And I have the quotes here, Al-Nawawi, Al-Ramli, Ibn Zayd al-Qarawani, Al-Baji, Ibn Qudama, Ibn Muflih, even Shaykh al-Islam, Ibn Taymiyyah, for those who look up to him, that strand of Islam. Even Ibn Taymiyyah has this position, very explicit. It is not haram to lower the pants below the ankle for the one who is not doing it out of pride. And frankly, in this country and society, you cannot do it out of pride. You understand? You're not showing off when you buy your Levi's jeans and it goes below the ankle. You're not showing off when you go to Target, and you get your clothes and they go, you're not showing off. There is no showing off when your normal pants go below the ankle and everybody has it, right? So to tell the Muslims, now, is there another opinion? Of course, there's always two opinions. There is a group of scholars who says this is always haram. And these scholars, frankly, are in the minority in the grand scale of things. I have done research in this particular issue for many years because I face a group of people that are adamant, the hadith says this, the hadith says this. And the response is very clear. That is your interpretation of the hadith. The hadith is clear. The same scholars, Imam Abu Hanifa saw the same hadith as you, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, they all saw the same hadith. You're not the only one looking at the hadith. The hadith is not speaking, it's your interpretation of the hadith. The hadith does not say anything, it's simply giving you these two things. What you derive from it, this is now your mind. I would rather stick with 99.9% of the ummah. And I'm not exaggerating, 99.9% of the ummah. Literally, go through who's who. Now, are there scholars on the other side? Wallahi, there are. I cannot deny that. There are great ulama, I love them, I respect them. Many of them are my own teachers from Saudi, that strand in particular, that modern strand. They are adamant that this is haram and it is a major sin. I love them, I respect them. Look at history and look at what the great scholars have said and contrast with this group of modern scholars. It's a modern opinion, to be honest. It's a modern opinion that has now become mainstream in that small segment. It is not classical. And if you follow it, Jazakallah khair. But give respect to the majority. Don't consider the majority to be deviant and evil and going to Jahannam. You follow your opinion, I have no problem. Wallahi, I have no problem. I'm not going to at all, a'udhu billah. You will be rewarded for your sincerity. I have no doubt about that. But if you study fiqh and you study what the ulama say, you will find this is not the interpretation of the vast majority of scholars, because the hadith itself mentions khuyala, arrogance and pride. To say, as the other group says, arrogance and pride is one sin, and doing it without arrogance and pride is another sin. That is the opinion that in Islamic history, maybe 2-3 people have held it pre-modernity. And in modern times, it has become revived and it has become mainstream in one group of ulama who think they're following the Salaf, but the Salaf themselves, I quoted you so many of them, and that's not the case that they have. So, bottom line, this is khulasatul qawl, the 4 madhahib, all of them, this is the standard position, that it is not a sin in the eyes of Allah if you do it not out of arrogance, and it is impossible in North America to do that out of arrogance. You agree with that point at least? That there's no such thing as lowering the garments out of arrogance per se. That's not going to happen in your heart. That culture is gone. To require people in corporate America to take their suits and have them above. Wallahi, if the Sharia were that way, we would do it. Wallahi, the Sharia says don't drink, we will not drink, no matter what pressure is there. But when 99.9% of the ummah is saying something, then why do you have to make the religion so difficult and say your 0.01% is the absolute correct? If you really wish to follow it, jazakallah khair, no problem, you're not going to find me, that's your business. But have some respect for the majority of the ummah that follows the majority position. And with that, inshallah ta'ala, we will conclude and continue next Tuesday.